Knapping flint can be dangerous from a couple of different things,
Yes.
and this is the warning label we'll add to the show.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about some of the inherent problems with flint knapping.
Well, the biggest one is a lung disease that you can get from breathing the dust off of rock, which is called silicosis. And what it is when you work with this, there is little tiny razor blades that come off of this rock that are floating around. You breathe those in, and what that does is it can cut your lungs. And then the other inherent problem is getting cut, whether you're working with a piece of stone or obsidian, any kind of knappable material will cut you. And I mean, that's
the amazing thing about flint, because when you break that piece off, it's got a scalpel edge to it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a little piece or the big piece you're working on, and you're sitting there chipping away at it, and you've got flint flakes.
Yep.
Archaeologists love flint flakes when they're on an archaeological site because it shows that activity was there prehistorically. But when we're doing it here as a hobby, we have to be careful because those flint flakes might end up in our backyard.
Yep.
They might be on the garage floor. You definitely don't want to do it in the family room.
No, no, she gets mad about that.
Now, we've got a tarp down, and we're going to catch the flint flakes today.
Yeah.
And we will dispose of those so they're not getting into the backyard and a hazard to the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Lawrence County is an unexpected destination found in the heart of southern Indiana rolling hills, offering recreational landscapes, a rich limestone heritage, and unique outdoor experiences. This area is limestone country, well known for limestone quarries and stone carving heritage. It's also the home of Spring Mill State Park, geocaches, the scenic East Fork of the White River, and underground caverns. Plan your adventure at limestonecountry.com or call 800-798-0769.
Man, I've been all over this farm. There ain't a bird in 5 miles of this place.
Hey man, obviously that ain't working.
Try this Derby City call, Old Girl Striker. Take it for a ride. Now that's what I'm talking about. Check out our complete product line at derbycitycalls.com. Derby City, it's your call.
We don't do a whole lot of talking while we do this.
We're just letting you get going right
Yeah.
now. We'll start
You don't have
shooting
any motivational Native American music playing in the background?
You know, I thought about that. Actually, this is, you really have to, you know, a lot of people say, well, you're just coming out there and you're beating on a rock, but you're not. There's a lot of thought process that goes into this, and if you don't pay attention to what you're doing, you can take, you know, a beautiful point that you're working on and destroy it just by one hit. And so if you don't pay attention and concentrate, you can lose the whole piece. Well, one of the things that I teach is let the stone dictate to you on what is coming out of it. Don't go into a piece and say, well, I'm going to make a Clovis, or I'm going to make a Dalton, or a pine tree. Get the point down, thin it, get rid of all the areas that are going to cause you problems. And once you get the point down, you can see what size you have, how thin it is, and everything, and then decide from there what particular style of point that you want to make with it. And so what I teach is get it thin. And there is a process to judging a point, to how good it is made, and that is the width to thickness ratio. And a good flint napper can make a point that is 5-6 times as wide as it is thick. So if you've got a piece of material and it's 1/4 of an inch thick, if that point is say 1.5 inches, that gives you a 5-to-1 ratio. That is a sign of a good point. If you get one that's 2-to-1, that means it's kind of stubby, it's real thick, it's not going to penetrate well. But what I do is I strive to make a point that is at least 5-to-1. So it'll be 5 times as wide as it is thick. So if I'm working on a piece that's 1/2 inch thick, you know, I want it at least 2.5 inches wide or greater. force too. I mean, when we were doing the percussion, it took a lot of force to get it to come off. But when you go to pressure flaking, you really have to, you're putting up so many hundreds of pounds of pressure right on the tip of this point to get this rock to release.
Oh, there we go. There's the last bit of the point I've been working on. Oh, okay, maybe I didn't do this. This is the one that I started on earlier in the show, though. Doyle, tell me a little bit about what you've finished up making with that piece.
This is a kind of like a little Lost Lake point, and it's pretty good width versus the thickness ratio. It's very sharp. This piece particular here would end up being a small knife or a spear point, a short one, but it could be a spear point. It's very sharp. If you could imagine that hafted on a point, that would make an excellent little spear.
Yeah. Most people, when they see that, they just assume they're all arrowheads.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is too big to put onto a shaft to shoot with an atlatl or an arrow. Something like this is going to be more for a cutting tool.
Yes.
A hafted knife or something. Yeah.
A small hafted knife that you could use to process a deer or anything else out there, a buffalo or whatever. I mean, it's extremely sharp. I got cut once.
Now, after you went around and did all the pressure flaking, you sized it, you shaped it, you went through and created the serrated edge on here. Then you came back in and made the corner notches to create the tang that you then are going to slip into either a bone handle or a wood handle. And then with sinew, then you'll tie off and hold it in place.
Make a small knife out of it, yeah.
Now, don't they on antler handle get them wet and put the haft down in there, put wet sinew on there, and then as they dry, it kind of
it binds it to it, yeah. They would use a pine pitch glue. It would go, and they would haft it in there and then compress it. And as the sinew and stuff dried, it would make a permanent bond. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, it's almost like a glue.
Yeah, exactly.
Once it hardens on.
Yeah.
Well, Doyle, it really has been a pleasure being here today, and we've enjoyed learning about flint knapping, getting to see it demonstrated, and even participating in it.
Yeah.
And I know that our viewers are going to enjoy learning a little bit more about flint knapping as well. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll have to get back with you and the guys and see about how you make those bows one of these days.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, we can do that.
Great. Follow Indiana Outdoor Adventures online with Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Stay up to date with our exciting adventures as we're out in the field filming and meeting new people. From news updates and announcements to Twitter posts by co-host Troy McCormick. Why wait until the next season of shows when you can follow us as we're filming them? Join us online to get the most current news on Indiana Outdoor Adventures. If you own timberland or open land, Hawbury Forestry Consulting specializes in timber sales, timber management, and wildlife habitat management for private landowners. We are also experienced with timber stand improvement, contract tree planting, and reforestation work. Our specialty is wildlife habitat management. If you own land and want to see an increase in deer, turkey, quail, and grouse populations on your property, we can tailor a management plan specifically for your needs. Welcome back to Indiana Outdoor Adventures. I think that was a pretty interesting segment that we had on learning all about flint knapping and stone arrowheads and projectile points. Let's take a look at a little more modern aspect to archery and visit with the NASP program. Now, the National Archery in the Schools program just recently had its statewide tournament up in Muncie, Indiana at the Horizon Center. Now, the NASP program just started out in 2005 in Indiana, and they already were having their 5th annual tournament. It's a statewide tournament. The group started out in 2005 with just 10 schools, and they've grown to 160 schools with over 32,000 kids from 5th grade all the way up through high school shooting archery and learning about archery in the schools. Now, the national organization has statewide groups all across the country, and the Indiana program comes together once a year for this statewide tournament. and we're going to go join in with them up in Muncie. Our photographer and pro staffer Doug Clark visited with them and filmed this footage and had a really good time visiting with them and watching these young archers learning all about competition, sportsmanship, and having a good time. Let's go check in with the NASP State Archery Tournament. The tournament today is the largest youth archery tournament in the state. We've got 45 different schools being represented, with 895 young archers shooting today. They're going to be shooting in an international style archery tournament with 3 divisions. Now the divisions are divided up by age and by grade. We've got the 4th grade through 6th grade, the elementary division. Then we have the 7th and 8th grade division. And then we have the high school division for the older kids. Each of the kids will shoot a total of 30 arrows to gain their score for the tournament. Now the first 15 arrows will be shot at the 10-meter line. Then they'll step back to a 15-meter line where they get to shoot another practice round, and then they'll launch an additional 15 arrows, giving them a total of 30 arrows for total possible points of 300. At the end of the competition today, which is going to last from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 or 5:30 in the afternoon, there's going to be team awards which will be given to the different schools, and then there's going to be individual awards for the top 5 male and females in each of the 3 divisions. So there's quite a few awards that are being given out today, and the number of kids that are going to be winning the top levels for their divisions are not only competing for the title of state champion for their division, but they're competing so that they can then go on to the national competition. Now, those that qualify will get to compete in the national competition, which is going to be the first part of May down in Louisville, Kentucky. The NASP program does a lot of different things for team building and sportsmanship, good quality conduct, and all in all, it's a good chance for students to, maybe they're not involved in other traditional sports, it's a chance for them to become involved in archery and to learn a lot of these new skills. And we're really excited to have the NASP program in Indiana and becoming so successful. Our special thanks to Tim Beck, who is the state coordinator for the state of Indiana. He works for the Department of Natural Resources and has done an outstanding job as the coordinator for the first 6 years that this organization has been around. That's it for today. We'll see you next week right here on Indiana Outdoor Adventures.